Het-Heru, this is Het-Heru here with another broadcast. Namaste. So today I want to talk to you about a really controversial subject matter. This is one where Kanye West has said that slavery was a choice, and this is being talked about a lot on social media, and it's creating a real buzz, and it's just very, very controversial, and just everyone has to chime in and comment about it. So I thought I would make a video on this to talk a little bit about my perspective on this as a magician, as a priest, to basically bring some light on this in a different way, you know. And I think that could be very helpful for individuals to see it in a very different perspective. First off, if you like my videos, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with friends and family so we can get the revolution started, so we can get this information out there, because this information is different. You know, you won't find this on any other channel. Most people who are claiming to be in the Cometian way of life are not really practicing it in terms of a holistic approach. They're just getting into it for intellectual masturbation, just reading books and then claiming that they're wise or they know something, when in reality, this journey is about living it. Mod says to know truth, you have to live it. So it's part of your life is living this and not just researching and being able to regurgitate information to make it seem like you're very knowledgeable and wooing people that way, because we know that the masses of people get wooed by good orators or good speakers, and they fall victim to being misled by these individuals because they thought these individuals walked the path when they really didn't. So I want to talk a little bit more about this. So let's get into this. So apparently, you know, Kanye West was on TMZ with Harvey Levin and made this statement about slavery being a choice, saying that, you know, for 400 years, that sounds like a choice, you know. But let me play the audio of that so you can get an idea from his own mouth what he actually said, and then I will chime in on it. Okay, so that was, hope you guys heard that. That was, hold on a second, just pause that. Kanye West talking about the whole idea of slavery was a choice. And I've heard this from a number of individuals prior to Kanye bringing it up, about this whole idea of choice. Now, what I want everyone to understand is that you have these celebrities, these people in mainstream media who need to stay relevant. And every now and then they'll make these controversial statements, such as Nicki Minaj talking about or having the cover of on her album, I believe it was on her album, of Malcolm X or something, and that started some controversy. So I don't think you should take to heart what these individuals say, because it's all about manipulating the audience, manipulating people to argue and debate. Meanwhile, it just keeps their name relevant. If you recall, Kim Kardashian recently wore cornrows, and she really gave credit, I think, to like Bo Derek or white women for cornrows when it was African American women who wore them. And this is designed on purpose. She knew exactly that the hairstyle was created by black women, but she did that in just a way to just create controversy and start this talk about herself in social media and in mainstream media. So I think it's like, if you fall victim to this, to just believing everything these people say, you're going to be emotionally swayed here and there. Rather, as I have always said before, you have to be very stoic in how you deal with these situations. Take it with a grain of salt and just be the observer, be the all-seeing eye, and observe, but don't get emotionally invested in this. Now, with that said, I do think there were certain nuggets or jewels that Kanye did drop inadvertently. And when he spoke about things like being a now moment and slavery being a choice. So I want to elaborate on that and really get into the details of that. But you have to understand too also, let me just take a step back, that many of these celebrities are basically, how should I say this, mentally unbalanced, okay? So the whole scene that Kanye made on TMZ just to me spoke to his mental imbalance, okay? And I don't want people, or like it when people start to try and defend that as being genius or he's really talking deep, when in essence he wasn't. Because if you watch the entire interview, you will see that he's unable to stay consistent with a certain train of thought. And many things he says are just to feed his ego, which many stars in Hollywood have, and many people in the music industry have that same issue. They're mentally imbalanced. These are not good people in the world. They're not. So don't subscribe to idol worship. These are not people that you should be worshiping, should be listening to. Rather, listen to the God within you and aspire to be God, and leave these people alone, you know, because now we see where the media now is launching this campaign against African-American males to portray them as crazy, sexual harassers, aggressors. What is the word for it? Toxic masculinity. So just be careful about this, because if you start taking sides in these type of issues, it could be very problematic. And I've always talked about the Hegelian dialectic, that the idea is set up that you're either for or against something. And that's being polarized in left-brain thinking. Because one of the legacies that have been left to us by our ancestors, which is the ability to think correctly and see the world from a holistic perspective, that all the components that are in our realm, and Nikola Tesla said, we don't live on a planet, we don't live in a universe, we live in a realm. All the components support the whole. And if any one component is missing, the whole cannot function, okay? So I think that we have to be very clear on what's going on here. And as I said before, the legacy that was left by ancestors is the ability to think correctly using integrated brain thinking. And that is the ability to hold two opposing sets of ideas and see them as harmonious and not contradictory. And the problem that we have with Western man is that all he can see is contradiction, which is why we have white women standing up and getting tired of this sexist treatment from Western society. And they're right in their perspective. And what they're saying is that, hey, listen, you know what? The female principle should be valued. But you have to understand, because of Western man's thinking and left brain ideology, he does not see the Western white woman as a complementary principle to him. He sees her as a opposing principle and something to oppress and put in its place. So whereas cultures that were indigenous, right-brain cultures, always saw women as a very complementary element, and we saw things according to what the Greeks called the logos, or what the ancient Kemetic people said was cosmological, the ordering of things. All right, so that's where we have to take a really good look from that perspective. Does it fall within the order of things? And part of cosmologics is Tehuti, or thought, which is wisdom. And that wisdom that comes from stilling the thought process, right brain thinking, okay? It doesn't come from left brain thinking, because left brain thinking doesn't have the capacity to see the whole. You can only see the individual components, and that's what it's designed to do, and it does it very well. So we, as magicians, we have to look at things from a metaphysical perspective, the underpinnings of how things need to operate, and not just the superficial front end. And if you are into web development or programming, you know there are two components. There's the front end, and then there's the back end. The back end is programming. The front end is how the website or things look. And that's how life is, and how life is composed. So also I want to take a minute to drop the donation link in, and I would appreciate any donations that you can contribute. And the money is always used to make more videos and more ebooks to help facilitate our ascension to fifth dimensional thinking and becoming more in tune or aligned with the way, the Tao. And that's really what truth is about. It's not about a set of axioms or principles that you live by. It is about how do you align yourself with the true way of the universe and live according to that. And that's really what God wants from you. And Tehuti is all about. Tehuti is about the way. Hence the book, the I-Ching, the book of changes, okay? So I want to propose an idea to all my Magi's that have attended the chat or in the chat. And let me just greet them. Haru Nefazai, Patrick, Het-Heru. Who else is in here? Suan. Oh, always good to see you, Het-Heru. And who else do we have here? Stefan, Het-Heru. And Takai, Het-Heru. So let's talk about the idea of what he was saying. Now, I've always said that thoughts are transferable. Thoughts are in the ether. And most times thoughts are not your own because they're floating and you can pick up on thoughts. If you pick up on a thought and internalize it, then you make it your own and you're responsible and accountable for it. And then it will manifest in fourth dimensional realm, meaning that you are reality generated. You are creating reality based on your thoughts and your beliefs. Your most dominant thoughts will show up because your most dominant thoughts are usually empowered by emotion. And we saw a lot of emotion from Kanye. He's very emotional. Okay, talking about nonsense stuff like love and all that, and in the perspective of where he's coming from, or the context, it is nonsense. But in and of itself, love is not nonsense. Okay, and Tehuti also tells us, and we have to remind ourselves that nothing has a quality in and of itself. It's only our perspective that brings a certain quality to it, which is the context of things. So, you know, the emotionality, when you empower an idea, will bring it to fruition. And you're always creating a reality, whether you like it or not. The thing is the reality one that's conducive to your existence, one that you want? And because we know the ruling elite, the oligarchy or the Illuminati, however you want to call them, they have hacked the psyche. So they know how to put in place what I call as implants. Implants are ideas or viruses that get you to act in a certain way. And part of that is racism. Okay, they've introduced that as a virus or as a living entity spirit called an ergomore, or what they call in what was it called, transurfing. You haven't been introduced to that, I recommend you get that book. And I believe it's called a pendulum. So we may refer to it as an ergomore or spirit, and transurfing, I think they refer to it as a pendulum. But again, it goes back to an intelligence, a virus that is in the ether, but that gets you to act in certain ways. It controls you. See, we've gone beyond the MK Ultra. We've gone beyond the Manchurian Candidate. things have become very, very sophisticated now, okay? And that the ruling elite know how to control you remotely, okay? So what I'm putting forth to you, if you understand that the reality that we are experiencing is all an illusion, it's all Maya, it's a holographic experience so that we can have the experience, and that even the physical being of who we think we are does not exist. It is just an avatar or a representation to embody consciousness, because consciousness has to have something to express itself in. So your true state of who you are is consciousness. It's not the physical body, the Geb. You are not John, you're not Mary, you're not Patrick, you're not Stephen. You are consciousness that has come to this realm, and there are many infinite realms, to have an experience so that Nectar can grow and understand itself better. Because Nectar has power, it has, it's infinite, but Nectar doesn't have the experience because in the very beginning, there was only the one. And if there's only the one, there's nothing to interact with, and there's no experience. So Nectar then divided itself from the one into two, and therefore it could interact with itself, and therefore gain the experience. So the individualization, where we know that consciousness, that there's really only one consciousness, the individualization that you see before you in terms of many individual people and things and objects, which we call the objective realm, are purely there for you to interact with and gain the experience from. And the experience that we have to basically quantify as your soul contract, your pre-life agreement, because Nectar has to explore certain themes and has to explore an infinite amount of themes simultaneously within the now moment. So as I said before, there exists no past and no present. The only thing that exists is the now moment, okay? The past and the future are illusions. The now moment, that is all that exists. So shout out to you, Zai. Thank you very much, Dwa, for your contribution. Thank you. So the Illuminati are aware of this occult science, which they stole from ancient Kemet, Egypt, or Taimeri, or Smaitawi. They stole that from our culture, understanding that there only exists a now moment, and quantum mechanics has verified this, okay? Now, if we know that the only thing that exists is a now moment, and that you can hack the psyche and put an implant there, or a virus or an intelligence, then what does that tell us? That our memories may not be what we think they are. You think you remember yesterday and the day before, but you have no idea if that memory is correct or if it's true. Do you know what I mean? Because if I inject a thought now, for example, and I were to say you are a brilliant composer in the psychic realm, you will act in accordance with that. You will start to be a brilliant composer. And then what happens then is you will vibrationally shift to an alternate reality where you have a history, an erroneous past, and a future of being a composer, a genius composer. So you will never remember yourself as a garbage man. You will never remember that alternate reality that you existed in. So what I'm saying is that the ruling elite, they have the ability to inject viruses within the psychic realm so that you can manifest that reality. And one of the things that they've injected into the psychic realm is the idea of being polarized in left brain thinking. The entire planet is encapsulated in this left brain Hegelian dialectic. This is why you have the sexism and racism that we are experiencing in this realm. This is why they don't want you to see things that are going on in outer space, because they got to hide the reality. When they give you these pictures of Mars and the moon, they're phony. They're phony pictures. They're CGI. They're doctored. Because the truth of the matter is they don't want to reveal that you do not live on a planet, you do not live in a galaxy, you do not live in a universe, you live in a matrix, a realm. And that's what Nikola Tesla was saying. He just used the word realm, but really it's a matrix. And the matrix is energetic. What do I mean by energetic? It responds to your thought process, meaning it's changing, it's ever changing. Okay? The minute you intake a thought, which is out in the ether, emotionally empower that, you then manifest that as a reality. And then you shift to a new vibrational alternate universe where that reality now has a past and a future, so-called. But the only thing that you have to remember is the only thing that exists is the now moment, and you are experiencing infinite so-called past life experiences, but they're really now moment experiences. You're experiencing an infinite number of them within this same space-time. Consciousness can shift perspective. So if I shift perspective to an alternate reality, I will perceive that as a past. But in reality, it's only another now moment that I'm shifting my perspective to. So what I am saying to you is that we have to be careful when we say things like slavery, because we're not sure that that actually happened, because that is an implant. Because the Illuminati could have said, well, you know, Black people are inferior and they were slaves, and implant that into the psychic realm. You take it and you internalize it and manifest that as a reality. Now you have something called racism. Now you have a past called slavery. And someone asked the question, why can't we overcome this? We can if we abide by the mass collective agreement, meaning that in order to change something, the masses of people have to unconsciously agree to it. And when you agree to it, then you change the fourth dimensional experience. But right now, because we're not aware of our power, because we're trapped in sensory experience, meaning that we only believe that what exists is the physical. This is why the Illuminati has put in place religions that focus on the physical and not the metaphysical. Note how every religion focuses on hating cultures that have meditation, that have transcenduction. They call that demonic. They say, oh, if you meditate, you'll contact Satan. Because if you were to focus on that and you were to realize that you create reality based on thoughts, then the people on this planet will start to get together and say, we don't like this reality. Let's vibrate to a different reality. Let's all focus on a thought to where there is harmony on the planet. And then the Illuminati will cease to exist. This is what they're afraid of. This is why they don't want that to happen. But the choice is yours. The choice to say, I don't subscribe to the idea that slavery ever happened. And in a sense, Kanye was right. It's a choice, because you always have that choice. Because if you, like, let me give you the analogy of walking down the street and you decided to turn left or right. If you turn right, there exists another alternate reality where you have actually turned left, because Nectar has to explore every possibility that exists. So there's another aspect of you that actually turned left. And that aspect that turned left went into a store and played lottery and won $1 billion. Do you understand? All those alternate realities must be explored in this space-time right here. And you have the choice to where, if you come into an understanding of who you are, know thyself, then you can explore any of those. That is your divine right as God man, God woman. You can explore any of those. So it is a choice. So when you receive some weird thought and you dwell on it and you focus on it, then you're creating it. It's going to come to fruition whether you like it or not. We, as God men, God women, or as ab men, AB, ab men and women, that's a high level, you have to take accountability for what is going on in the world and say, you know what, I am contributing to manifesting this reality, okay? So I am going to unplug from that realm and experience an alternate reality, one that I want. Because there exists a reality that where sexism and racism does not exist. And that where, yes, you live in. That is another aspect. But you don't physically quantum leap to a new reality. Consciousness just shifts perspective to that new reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then consciousness will explore that ultimate reality. So what I'm saying to you, beloved, is that slavery, like any other reality that we're experiencing in this matrix system, is not real. It's all information, and from that field of information, you're pulling a certain reality. You're pulling from that informational field a certain reality, because the only thing that really exists in the information field is infinite possibility. Infinite possibility. All things that can happen do happen, are happening. You're not aware of it, you don't see it, but those things are happening. So, Patrick, yes, What the Bleep Do We Know? Very, very good documentary. I recommend everybody see that. It's a bit older, but it's very good, and it will break it down into a science about how the multiverse, how that works, okay? So what I'm saying to you is, if the masses of African Americans got together and say, we don't subscribe to slavery, we choose to believe a different reality, that would disappear in a second. Now, let me just take a step back. The reason why individuals like Kanye and Nicki Minaj and all these other celebrities get away with what they're doing is because they pick on the disenfranchised. They pick on the poor and impoverished who can't defend themselves. Because he knew on this program, TMZ, Harvey Levin is a Jew, and he knew that he could never in any way, shape, or form make that same comment to the Holocaust. Because if Kanye were even to try to make that comment about the Holocaust, they wouldn't even air it on TV to have a discussion about it. So he knew who to pick the fight with. And you'll find that happens in mainstream media a lot, where they're always picking a fight with African Americans. They're always doing something to agitate them, to emotionally excite them, because they're easy targets. And this is the same thing why all these the migrants coming into this country are taught to hate people of color, even though they're people of color. It's very ironic how you'll have a large influx of Latino population who talk about hating Latinos. I used to work at this hospital, and I used to work with this older woman. She was Puerto Rican, and I would clearly remember her saying to her daughter, and she said this out loud, her daughter brought home this guy, and he was black, and she was shocked. I was shocked that she actually said that out loud, and she had the balls to do that. That was very racist and insulting, given the fact that they come from Taino Indians and Africans. So anyway, going back to what I was saying is that we get to choose the reality that we want to experience, because we have it within us, the power to shift vibrationally to a new reality. We're not happy with the present one. Now, as an individual, can you shift to a totally new reality? No, you only have, as Dr. Kirby Surprise says, a 6% influence at max over the reality that you're experiencing, a 6%. And that is a safeguard that Neter, Yahweh, God's source, put into place so that one individual can manipulate and change things on a massive level. The only way things can be changed on a massive level is what the Japanese mesquite monkey experiments showed was the 100 monkey principle, or through a mass collective agreement. That means the masses of people have to agree on that reality for it to actually take shape. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yes, history is an illusion. History is an illusion. History is a perspective on the now moment. That's all history is. It's just another perspective on a now moment. And that whenever an implant is introduced, you vibrationally shift right away. And this is why we have something called the Mandela effect. Please research that. The Mandela effect is many people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison, while others remember him becoming president of South Africa. So what that is telling you that there's a large population of people on this planet who have a different memory of history, a totally different memory of history. And that these individuals are actually documenting this online, where history has changed. And I have a good friend who calls me every now and then because he documents all this, and he actually shows me how history is changing right before our eyes, and sometimes it even shocks me. So, but when you get to an understanding of the underworkings of the metaphysical realm, then you understand that, hey, I'm not powerless. Hey, I'm not going to get excited by what these guys say, because now I understand the truth that none of this that we're experiencing is real. It's all a concocted reality by the ruling elite. Why don't we have flying cars right now? We should. We should have flying cars like in the Jetsons and Blade Runner. We don't have them because the ruling elite has not put in that implant yet. Because they're slowly feeding us technology. They don't want us to be advanced too quickly, where we should be advanced. Because if we started building the pyramids and traveling interdimensionally as our ancestors, well, this present day should have been a lot more advanced than what's going on. So they are retarding our progress. So we're living in the dark ages. Let's understand that this is a matrix, and we don't have to fight to get out the matrix, because you're not going to get out the matrix unless you are a sage or high priest, but rather understand how the matrix works and manipulate it to your advantage. You want that money? Manipulate the matrix. You want that guy or that girl? Manipulate the matrix. You want that job? Manipulate the matrix. You want that position in corporate America? Manipulate the matrix. Because that's what it's there for. It's there for you to utilize it. Zai, you said you have been persecuted for wanting cheat codes. I love that. The cheat codes, that's exactly right. I call it hacking. Let's hack the matrix. They will persecute you. They will condemn you. They will come after you. Het-Heru, Sunkiss. Ruin that for Genie. Yes, you only have a max of 6% of influencing the matrix. So get working. But the question you need to ask is not, can I get more, but what is the quality of that 6%? Because that 6% can be crucial. You know, I'm talking to a pretty girl and I want her to marry me. All I need is 6%, or the Jedi mind trick. You will marry me. We will have kids together. And then she goes, why the hell are you waving your hand like that? You know? No, but in real, 6% is a lot to play around with. And remember, when you're working in magic, the goal is not to have everything you want manifest, because you're learning, but it's to become more powerful with each attempt, to learn more with each attempt. A lot of times I'll do my rituals and my magic, and I know that something may not mushroom, may not come to fruition, but the important thing is, what I did right and what I did wrong. That's the takeaway I have to get from it. And all my magi, Atavia, Runefer, Mike, Het-Heru, but you have to understand, I want you all to really get this point. Because I think you guys are so awesome. And I see that you guys are going in the right direction. I want you to really, really think about this. Key, it's up. How are you? Key to love. All we need is love. And I want you also to understand something. When Kanye is talking about this whole love thing, I equate him to people I see on the street preaching about how Jesus can save them, but these people are homeless. They're preaching how great Jesus is. You're talking about a people who've gone through a very traumatic experience and are still going through trauma or terrorism, because slavery, the ruling elite knows, is probably one of the worst things that can happen to a group or a people. And it does traumatize people in a sense that they need something to lean upon or a crutch to get them through it. They need a coping mechanism. And the coping mechanism can be Jesus, it could be Buddha, or it could be love, saying that we all need to love. No one has to tell people of indigenous cultures to love, because people of melanin complexion have always loved people. Native Americans have loved Christopher Columbus. You know? No one has ever hated Western man. When Western man showed up on the shores, he was taken in and loved. The Aborigine of Australia had no problem with the Australians in the outback until they started to put them into the little concentration camps, you know? So I just want you to think about that. Oh, Octavia, yeah, we can do your oracle reading. Yeah, no worries. We can get that scheduled right away. So experiment with the matrix. You can even talk to the matrix. It will respond. You just got to make sure that when it responds through omens and symbolism, you're able to read it. Okay? So get clear on that. And as I said before, if you want to know if someone is on the level, if they're dropping science or if they're totally just loony, do an oracle reading on them. Don't use your left brain or your mind to make a judgment about somebody. Because I'm going to give you guys a secret, right? Let me give you guys a secret. There's two secrets here. I got to write this down so I don't forget. So they're, okay, complimentary. Complimentary. Let's see, secret is this. Oh, okay, I'm going to give you two jewels here, secrets that if you live by this, your life will be wondrous, wondrous. And you'll experience things better than money, better than my pretty face. Okay? The first thing is understanding that all things complement each other. That you need to understand that two opposing thoughts are not contradictory. That you can, you know, people would criticize me when I first started out saying that you contradict yourself. I said, no, you have the inability to see how opposing thoughts really complement each other. You have that inability. I'm not contradicting myself. Nothing. This is why in the story of Asar-Aset, or Osiris and Isis, you notice that Heru did not kill, or Horus did not kill Set. He didn't kill him. He just said, Set, you're useful. We're going to put you in the underworld. We need you. Now, Set had murdered massive amounts of people. Set had done all kinds of damage. A good movie to watch is not a great movie, but it's called The Gods of Egypt. That shows you how evil and corrupt Set was. But no matter how corrupt Set was, they found a place for him. So what that tells you is that you don't have enemies. Because if we're all one consciousness, you cannot oppose yourself. But there's a place for everything and everything in its place. So though the Hegelian dialectic talks about, you know, the right and the wrong, the left and the right, the male and the female, you can have those two ideas. but make sure that you see them as working together as integral parts of forming a synthesis, but a whole. And that's what the right brain does. That's what the right brain does. It synthesizes. So inevitably, there's a third brain thinking. If you understand there's left brain, right brain, and you work the two together, it synthesizes the two to create a whole new form of thought process. And this is what modern psychology is refusing to deal with, and modern academia and the universities are refusing to deal with. They want to trap you just in left brain thinking, and then they want to tell you, well, the right brain is no good because the right brain doesn't have a concept of time, so you're always late to class or you're late to work. And that's true. Right brain is not subject to time and space. But when the two work in tandem together in harmony, it synthesizes and brings forth a new harmonious thinking pattern, which takes into account left brain and right brain thinking, linear and nonlinear, physical and metaphysical. Okay? And you have to always strive in your journey in life to have holistic thinking, looking at things and understanding that they are very much essential parts to the whole. Western man is incapable of seeing that, so he seeks to eradicate things. He seeks to exterminate people. He seeks to exterminate Jews. He seeks to exterminate African people. Because he doesn't understand that if you exterminate these groups, then the whole will collapse. So the earth you think you're going to inherit won't be there. The second thing is, if you want to live a prosperous and harmonious life, be the observer. Don't judge what you see. Stop placing judgment on things. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Not because, left brain idiots come along and say, well, only God can judge, so you shouldn't judge. No, that's not the reason why you shouldn't judge, you idiot. You shouldn't judge because if you practice the art of being non-judgmental, that means you don't place an emotional attachment to anything. You don't place a definition to anything. And what happens if something is very painful that comes along and you don't judge it and you don't place a definition of something? You can't manifest it. You can't manifest something you have no definition to or have no emotional attachment to. You cannot manifest that. It cannot happen. So what happens when you go through life and you stop judging something? That means you're in the driver's seat. You're in control. You're the chariot from the tarot deck. That means you become a master magician because you cannot be hacked. There can be no implants. Because even if the Illuminati put in place an implant or ergomore or a virus or a spirit, you will not respond to it because you're not going to place a definition of it being good or bad. So your subconscious mind says, I don't know what this is, so I can't manifest this. What is this? I'm not going to manifest this. But whether you like it or not, the state and the condition that you're in now is one where you manifest the things you like, and more importantly, you manifest a lot of times the things that you don't like. And that's why your life is ups and downs, because you consistently manifest the things that are trapped in your shadow self, the fears that you harbor. Let me tell you something. Okay? Let's break this down, all right? Zai, February 22nd. I do consulting work, right? I'm what's known as a subject matter expert. That means companies seek me out and hire me because I know a lot about technology, right? So I'm sitting at my desk, and there's one particular woman, my person, notice I didn't say I, because I am consciousness. My person doesn't really care for, right? So it was lunchtime. I was thinking about going to my favorite vegan place, which is Terry. I don't know if you ever ate there. It's pretty nice. So I have to go to the elevator and wait. Something's like really weird with our elevator system. You have to wait a long time to get the elevator to go down. So I said, knowing that I have this program or conditioning, as the ancient Egyptians called it, a conditioning, where my person doesn't really care for this particular woman, I bet you when I get up and walk to the elevator, she'll be standing right there because I'll manifest her there. So about 5 minutes pass, I'm actually delaying it and procrastinating. And I said, okay, I'm going to get up and go to lunch. As soon as I walked into the elevator, guess who was there? It was that particular woman. So what did Kassank do? Did Kassank grab her and make passionate love to her? No. Kassank said, all right, I manifested this. So now I am going to use this as an opportunity to build a rapport with her, to overcome that, that dislike for her, so that this situation will not manifest again. So when we're on the elevator, of course, no one else came on the elevator. We went down from the 32nd floor, and we talked all the way down, and it kind of broke the ice. So I could have looked at that as a bad situation. That's the opposing thought. That's the Greek way of thinking, the Hegelian dialectic, the thesis, antithesis, and the synthesis. But instead, I chose to see that situation as helping to further my development. And when you see bad things, which Western society calls it bad as that, then you can't manifest a bad situation, because then everything is to your advantage that manifests. This is why you have very confident people and cocky people. A lot of times things go their way because they have a core belief system which says that I'm the shit. I'm all that in a bag of potato chips. You guys get what I'm saying? So when you don't have a definition to something, to label it, then you can't manifest it. Imagine if the masses of people on this planet stop defining people in their lives as their enemies. The literal definition of an enemy would wipe from the dictionary, and that we would live in a totally different realm or world. And they've actually done experiments on this already, and they have shown that by taking a massive group of people, it has actually changed reality. But they hide these studies, they hide these documents because they don't want you to rediscover them and start to put them into practice. There's a lot of, let me tell you something. There's a lot of people who pioneered these fields. And the reason why you don't hear a lot about them is because they're killed. They die in mysterious plane crashes or car crashes. Just when they're about to publish their papers or go public with their discoveries. Google it. You'll find that a lot of scientists, a lot of psychologists suddenly just die, especially inventors. You know? Zai, you just email me and I'll tell you. I'll give you an answer to that. Just email me. So, think about that. That there is high science. There's high metaphysical science. But if you were to try and make that go public, they'd get rid of you real quick. I know a lot of things. I know a lot of things about them and what's going on. But I wouldn't dare say it publicly and on air. I wouldn't dare say it. I'm not stupid. I say something like that to you, to reveal truth like that, my pretty ass be gone. You'd be like, whatever happened to that pretty boy Kassank? He doesn't make videos anymore. Oh, they must have got him. Oh. I had a friend call me and ask me, I want the truth. Can you give me the truth? I said, you sure you want to hear this stuff? I said, well, okay. So I'm going to tell you some stuff, but we're not going to talk on the phone. We're going to go to Starbucks and have some coffee, and we're going to talk. I told him some stuff. He called me the next day saying he couldn't sleep. He's scared. He says, dude, man, I don't believe this. This is scary. This is the exact word. He goes, this is some scary shit, man. I said, I told you. You got to be ready for this stuff. You got to be ready. I don't talk about this because that's the first thing. If I talk about it, it's going to mess your mind up. You're going to be freaking out. You're going to be paranoid. So you don't want to live that life anyway. You know what I'm saying? Some people, it's better to stay in the matrix, you know, and just live and believe that the Maya is real. No, I'm serious, because, you know, if you go too deep down the rabbit hole, and this is coming from What the Bleep Do We Know? It goes deep in the rabbit. It's going to mess you up. You can't come out a sane individual. It's going to mess you out. That's why I don't go too deep on all this stuff. My own sanity. Because there was one point in my journey, I went real deep and started having some wild experiences, which were phenomenal, but also terrifying. And I was like, is this what's really going on? My God. You know? One of the first people I got involved with was a Christian organization, and they were the first ones to hit me on the Illuminati. I knew nothing about the Illuminati, but there was this Christian organization that was telling me about the Illuminati, and I was like, wow, I didn't know this was going on. So don't think you're alone. There are others out there who are fighting a good fight too. But they may not have the tools that I'm giving you today. So when somebody talks to me about slavery, it's not that I go out and say, oh, slavery didn't happen. I may know that. But remember, they're living a different reality than you are. So I listen to them, but I listen to them as a magician. I understand that those memories and those ideas can be implanted. Okay? And there's a lot of things we don't know that's going on. So no one person has all the answers. So just take it in, just absorb it. But don't become firmly rooted in one side or the other. You got Kanye running around saying nonsense like, I love Trump. Trump is a figurehead, dude. He's a figurehead. He's meaningless in the grand scheme of things. There are puppet masters behind him pulling the strings. You're in love with a false idol, a person who has no control whatsoever. He does what he's told to do. Or if he doesn't, they bring out a sex worker or a porn star to take him down. So him being in love with Trump and saying all this, we can love and overcome, he's being silly. He's being stupid. Love Ma'at, because Ma'at is the highest manifestation of love. Okay? Love God. That's the highest manifestation of love. Trump is nothing. And, you know, Kanye is talking about, well, you know what, we've got to learn to deal with people, to negotiate with people, even though we may hate them. Yeah, that's true. But when those same people want you exterminated, the only thing that we can say is, listen, we come to the table. Are you going to stop your efforts to exterminate my people? No? Okay, we have nothing more to talk about. That's it. That's simple as that. You are doing wrong. And if you do not cease and desist and stop right now, there's no further dialogue. I need to go to Tahuti now and figure out how to deal with your corrupt ass. You feel me? With that, I want to bring this to a close. I want to thank all the Magi for attending. And again, please donate if you haven't already. And I will put the link back in the description box. And it's also, oh yeah, it is in the description box, but I'll put the link in the chat box for you to donate to the cause of OSER. And actually, we do this, the crooked flail. That's how Sarah symbolized. Okay? Now, if you've liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share it with friends, family members, download the Osiris report in the link below if you haven't already read it. Phenomenal report. Get the rape culture report, which is in there as well. And that explains why you have many people like myself of mixed racial heritage, and which stems from rape. Yes, it does. Surprise, surprise. But the feminists don't take that into account, do they? Also, contribute to our Patreon campaign where we can make more exciting instructional videos for you. And so, thank you, all my magicians. Go out, practice your magic. Create your reality and enjoy creating it. As Het-Heru, goddess of joy, says, Hathor says, the joy is in the journey and not the destination. This is Kasankma Keperu, son of Ma'at, Amun Ra.